Hello to you and welcome to the Ingles table. I'm Mark Keady. One of my first jobs when I was 16 years old was working in a Mexican fast food restaurant, and to this day I still consider myself an expert when it comes to making Mexican food. And today I'm going to show you how to make perfect enchiladas. One of the first things we're going to do is to make perfect taco meat. Let me show you how. So we've got the best meat in town from, of course, Ingles, and today we're going to start with our ground beef. About a pound of this is all we need. The interesting thing about perfect taco meat is that when we show you our special little secret here, we're going to make this pound and maybe a pound and a quarter of taco meat go a long, long way. So we've got our ground beef in. We've also added Laura Lynn taco seasoning mix, always easy to find. In the meantime, we're going to throw maybe about a half a cup to a cup of onions over here on our side dish and get that cooking. Our seasoning with our ground beef, a little bit of oil on top of it. We'll add a little bit of water to it as well, and it'll start to resemble taco meat that we make at home. We've got a couple of more tricks here to show you to make perfect taco meat. We don't want the full orange tint, but we definitely want to make sure that we have that flavor of the taco seasoning in every bite of our perfect enchiladas. So our ground beef with our seasoning is finishing up right now. We're going to get this cleaned up right here, and then I'm going to show you the last trick to making perfect taco meat. So our spices and our ground beef have meshed together nicely, but what we have is an okay crumbly texture. This isn't bad, but sometimes even when you get really lean ground beef, especially if you're trying to be healthy, it can be kind of chewy and thick. And I tell you what, if you have little kids, they may not like the texture of it, especially if they're used to it from maybe their favorite Mexican restaurant. This is the trick I've learned to make everyone love taco meat. You take your ground beef after it's done cooking and you give it a quick chop or pulse in a food processor. If you don't have something little like this that I've had for many years, even putting it on a cutting board and running a knife across it several different ways is going to lower its density, so to speak, and it's just going to make it a little bit smoother, a little more melty in all of your Mexican food entrees, including your tacos and these perfect enchiladas. So we'll take a few spoonfuls at a time, fill our processor up, and this is where the magic happens. Don't blend it much, just a quick pulse. Once we're done, this is what we get. Perfectly consistent texture across our taco meat. And there you go. Perfectly consistent taco meat all the way across with lots of flavor. All right, so we still have our onions cooking right here and they're just about done. And we have our perfect taco meat. If you want to see how we made perfect taco meat, make sure you check out the tips and tricks section here at theinglestable.com and we'll show you how it's done. Now, our onions are finishing up. We're going to take a can of diced green chilies. So we have our green chilies and our onions going. In the meantime, the other trick to making perfect enchiladas is perfect corn tortillas. We have a steamer right here. And inside, we have our corn tortillas, which have been steaming for about 20 to 25 seconds each. Now, they are very hot when they come out of here. So, we'll take those out. First thing we're going to do is, real quick, make sure we mix all of our ground beef and our onions and our chilies all together. Give this a nice mix. And we'll get ready to start loading up these perfect enchiladas. So we have our corn tortillas, which have been in a steamer. If you don't have a steamer like this at home, you can even use a pot of water with some foil on the top. Just poke some holes in it and lay your tortilla on there. Having a soft tortilla gives a little bit more pliability. It also makes it a little bit more tender when you cut into it when these are finally done. About a half to a third of a cup of our mixture per tortilla. Give it a nice roll and just set it right there. So we filled our pan. We've got about a dozen enchiladas in here, which is great, and that was just enough for our ground beef and our perfect taco meat that we made. So we'll fill this last one up here, give it a nice roll. Again, we steam these tortillas just because it creates a softer texture. They're easier to work with, and frankly, they just taste better. Next thing, enchilada sauce. Pretty easy, just give it a nice light pour all across your enchiladas. You can use red enchilada sauce, green enchilada sauce. If you've got a traditional recipe, you can certainly make your own as well. Just want to make sure that each enchilada's got a pretty good amount of sauce on it. One can will get you through about a dozen or so enchiladas, and if you feel like, oh, there's too many white spots there, I like more enchilada, that's why we have cheese, man. So we have our Laura Lynn Mexican shredded cheese, and we're just gonna cheese until our hearts decides that that's enough cheese. We may be here a while. A nice, healthy dose of cheese for perfect enchiladas. So, all we're gonna do is cover this in foil, and we're gonna put it in the oven at about 400 degrees for 20 minutes. Our enchiladas have been cooking for about 20 minutes now to let all those flavors of the perfect ground beef, the tortillas, the sauce, the chilies, and of course the onion all melt together. After 20 minutes, we have these beautiful, beautiful enchiladas right here. So we've got some refried beans, some tortilla chips right here, a little sour cream. And I'm a big guy, I like 3. That's just my normal limit of enchiladas. I think even if you think you have 2, once you try these, you're gonna have 3. I promise you that. And there we go. Perfect enchiladas. I want to thank you so much for joining me right here at the Ingles table, and make sure you check out the rest of the site for more great tips, tricks, and recipes. Until next time, I'll see you online.